Hello, everyone, and welcome to our UC Berkeley virtual engineering visit today. We're so excited to share our great engineering programs with you today. But before we start, I just want to say that we acknowledge there is a lot happening out in the world right now, and we really do appreciate you taking an hour out of your day today to spend with us to learn about UC Berkeley. And with that being said, I just want to start with a self-introduction. Hello again, everyone. My name is Jade, and I will be your moderator for today. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm from Long Island, New York. To be specific, my town is called Great Neck. This is my third year at Berkeley. I am studying psychology as well as economics. Other than being a campus ambassador, I play ultimate frisbee with our women's club team. I was involved in psychology research in my freshman year, and this semester, I'll be leading a committee for our Student Association for Applied Statistics. Next, on to some housekeeping items about our virtual visit today. This presentation today will be about 40 to 45 minutes long, where our two wonderful campus ambassadors, Isha and Kate, will be talking about our engineering programs here and sharing their student perspectives with you all. Note that the chat function has been disabled, so please ask any and all questions using the Q&A function on the bottom of your screen. In addition to the campus ambassadors you'll see on camera today, we have several ambassadors on the back end that are super excited to answer all of your questions, so please ask away at any point during the tour. You will also see polls pop up on your device at some points during the visit. We would love to hear more about you guys and try to tailor the presentation to better fit your needs. So please, when they come up, fill those out when they do appear. If you miss any information during this tour, do not worry, because we do have a different version of this virtual visit recorded and posted on our website. So you can always go check that out after the visit today if you like to do that. Today's tour will be an overview of engineering information. It is going to be different from our general visit, where we give a more general overview of all the undergraduate colleges, as well as housing and other general student organization information. So if that's something you're interested in, you can sign up for that on our website. The presentation today is brought to you by our campus ambassadors. So we will be offering a student perspective, and there will be no information about admissions or financial aid. We can, of course, redirect you to their websites, but if you have any specific questions about those topics, then please feel free to contact those departments. And there's also a separate admissions presentation if you're interested in that. Lastly, after the presentation, there will be a Q&A session where we'll do our best to answer all of your questions live. So please send those questions in throughout the visit today. Now, I am super excited to hand it over to our two amazing campus ambassadors today. Isha and Kate, please take it away, guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Isha. I'm currently a junior at UC Berkeley, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm originally an international student from Toronto, Canada, and I'm currently studying bioengineering along with minors in public policy and design innovation. Apart from being a campus ambassador, I'm currently an undergraduate student researcher at the UCSF School of Medicine, where I get to study the brain. I'm also part of the Fung Fellowship for Healthcare and Technology, where I get to work with industry partners to come up with innovative solutions to healthcare problems. I'm also work as a resident assistant in the dorms, so I serve as kind of a mentor and guide to students living in our residence halls at Berkeley. And finally, this upcoming summer, I'm an incoming R&D biomedical engineering intern at Medtronic, which is a biomedical devices and technology company. So if you have any questions regarding those, I'm happy to answer, and I'll pass it off to Kate.
Hello, my name's Kate. I use the she, her, hers pronouns. I'm originally from Davis, California. I'm a senior this year, studying molecular and cell biology with a minor in data science. I'm currently finishing up my honors thesis research in MCB. I'm a student assistant at the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and I teach a data science class as well. All right, so we'd just like to welcome you to Berkeley. It's beautiful. It's so nice. We wish we could have you on campus, but these lovely pictures will have to do. So up top, we can see a drone view of campus. Pretty nice. We recently celebrated 150 years of women. That was last year, but yay, 151 years, right? We can see the Hearst mining building right next to that. That's the interior. It's lovely. It's on the engineering campus, really pretty. And you can also see the campanile through the trees and some happy looking kids hanging out on Memorial Glade in front of our big Doe library. Okay, so you'll see a poll popping up. Looks like a lot of you are juniors interested in engineering. Good for you. This is a great option. So we will go over a couple things, including an overview of Berkeley, a look at our academics, specifically in engineering, and some resources for you, and some relevant student life stuff, labs, makerspaces, all specific to engineering, research, and the College of Engineering's legacy.
All right, to get started, so UC Berkeley was founded in 1868, and we were the first of the 9 undergraduate University of California schools. And throughout our presentation, you may hear us refer to Berkeley as Berkeley, Cal, University of California. So if you hear that, that's kind of what we're referring to. Our school mascot is the Golden Bears, and my favorite story about that was when I was giving a tour on campus, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and it was Oski, our school mascot, and he joined me on our tour on campus, which was really fun. In terms of our campus size, so we are a mid to large sized institution with around 31,000 undergraduates, but out of that, around 3,700 are engineers. So it's a lot smaller of a community, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the engineering program at Cal. In addition, if you're interested in any graduate school programs, we have about 11,800 graduates, and out of that, around 2,300 are engineers.
So engineering is not the only college that we have on campus. For example, I am in the College of Letters and Sciences, which is actually our largest college. The other colleges include the College of Chemistry, the Vassar College of Natural Resources, and the College of Environmental Design. Notably, the only engineering major that is not within the College of Engineering is in the College of Chemistry, and that's chemical engineering. So if you're interested in chemical engineering, you'll be applying directly to that program, and that won't be in the College of Engineering. All the other programs are in COE, which is College of Engineering, and there are 11 of them, and they are all great. If you know that you are interested in applying, if you know you're interested in engineering, you should apply directly to that college. It is possible to apply to a different college and try and transfer in later. It is difficult to transfer into the College of Engineering. It is also difficult to transfer into the College of Chemistry. So we strongly encourage that you apply to what you are interested in right off the bat.
Absolutely. And also just to kind of add on, engineering and chemistry are direct admission, so you apply to a major, whereas for the other 3 colleges, you generally apply to the college. So you'd be applying to one specific major when you're applying to engineering. All right, so going into the College of Engineering, what really drew me to the school was definitely the culture and community of the College of Engineering. We are not only are we students, but we're also change makers, and that's emphasized in all my classes that I take within the college and even outside of the college. We really try to use technology to do good and technology to give back to our communities, and that's what I love about how engaging and inspiring my professors and peers are. On top of that, we are at the hub. We're very close to Silicon Valley, so we have a lot of access to amazing entrepreneurship, research, and innovation opportunities that I've definitely been able to take advantage of during my time at Cal. And most importantly, I think a really big misconception that a lot of students have is that engineering is incredibly competitive to be in once you're at Berkeley. And I've found it to be an incredibly collaborative environment where we're all helping each other and supporting each other because of the extremely rigorous nature of the classes in itself.
So here we can see a breakdown of the College of Engineering by major, and you'll see a poll popping up asking what you're interested in. So that'll be fun to see. You can see here that pretty obviously EECS is the biggest program within the College of Engineering. It makes up about 43% of the total college population. EECS is Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. I'm pretty sure it's actually not only the biggest major within the College of Engineering, but the biggest major on campus, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So very, very popular program, fairly competitive to get into because it's highly ranked and very good, which is exciting. You know, all of them are. So all of our programs are actually ranked within the top 9 globally. It is possible to switch majors. You need to have some planning, talk to your advisors. It depends on it is difficult to switch majors, and the switch that you're making really depends on what the switch is, and it just depends on how many of those classes will overlap with the switch that you're trying to make. And I see we are all interested, well, 60% of us are interested in EECS, so that's pretty par for the course. Of course, after undergraduate, most of our students move on to industry or graduate school or some sort of research.
So to get started off with our engineering majors, as Claire mentioned, there are 11 of them. And the first one is kind of unique. It's a program called Engineering Undeclared. So there are a few ambassadors in the back end who came in this program. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. In this program, essentially, you apply to the College of Engineering generally, and you must declare your major by your 4th semester. So that means by the end of your 2nd year at Berkeley. This program is highly competitive to be accepted into. So if kind of you're leaning a lot more towards one or the other, it might be better to apply directly to a specific department rather than the undeclared program, just because of its highly competitive nature. But how they're kind of guided into making the decision is taking a lot of introductory seminar classes where they get to meet professors from all the different departments, get to know more about the concentrations these majors have, and then that really helps them make a decision. Next, we have nuclear engineering, which is one of our smaller majors with, I want to say, less than 100 students. And they have a lot of really interesting focuses in research and development and also in energy and radiation. So they have a bit of a medical focus when it comes to like using nuclear energy and MRI and things like that to for medical purposes, but also for energy and radiation. So it's a really cool major, and the friends I have in it, it's a very, very close-knit community. And then next, my favorite major, bioengineering. This is a really, really cool major, and what drew me to it was how flexible it was. I feel like bioengineering is one of the only majors at Cal where you have to take biology, chemistry, physics, math, and computer science. So it definitely is very rigorous. But Berkeley's program is so flexible, and you can really go into any direction that you want to within this very wide field. So there are 4 different concentrations in biomedical imaging, biomedical devices, cell and tissue engineering, and computational biology. So I'm kind of combining 2 tracks in devices and imaging for my upper division classes at Berkeley. And the building you'll see in the bottom right of your screen is where the bioengineering building is. And another great thing about it is they have very close connections with UCSF and their School of Medicine, as a lot of graduate programs are kind of a dual degree between Berkeley and UCSF. So that's how I kind of got to do research over there.
Yeah, I think bioengineering is really cool too. I didn't really know it was an option, but I'm like molecular cell bio and data science, which is kind of similar. And so I'm taking a couple for fun for my last semester, just upper division bioengineering classes that I thought were interesting, and they are, and they're great. So another couple programs we have industrial engineering and operations research, or IEOR, and these the classes talk about complex system operations and making processes more effective, efficient, and safe. And material science and engineering is really cool. I think like it's more chemistry adjacent, so I'm there for it. But yeah, desirable materials and properties, talking about function, impact, feasibility, and cost. It's a cool major. A lot of chemistry. I think it's neat.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I saw we had a good amount of students interested in civil and environmental engineering. This is one of the most hands-on majors that within the College of Engineering. They have a lot of labs. They have a lot of practical kind of learning that they do. So a fun fact about Berkeley Civil Engineering Department is that parts of the Golden Gate Bridge were actually tested in one of our facilities on campus, which is super cool. And to kind of give you an idea of what some students in this major do after they graduate, one of my really close friends, she graduated 2 years ago, I believe, and now she's working as a civil and environmental engineering consultant at an architecture firm. So she's kind of emphasizing how to be more environmentally responsible and sustainable in their designs and materials and production and manufacturing. So that's kind of what she's doing. And I wish we were on campus because there's a super cool kind of workplace for civil engineering that the civil engineering students kind of get a practical and hands-on approach to. And then next, mechanical engineering. This is a pretty popular major at Cal as well. Within the College of Engineering, I believe it's the second largest after EECS. And this is a very, very multidisciplinary project. My dad was a mechanical engineer, so he always wanted me to go into it. I think I'm doing a combination of it with BioE. But this is a major that a lot of students also do double majors in. So I have a lot of friends who are doing mechanical and electrical and computer science engineering, or mechanical and bioengineering. It is a bit of a heavier workload, but it has a lot of applications. So and a lot of overlapping classes as well. So that's definitely possible. And we'll speak later upon some of our Jacobs Institutes and some of the facilities we have that the mechanical engineering students actively use.
So yeah, kind of a cool thing about I really like giving engineering tours in person because the construction bay that's sort of for like civvy kind of majors is the biggest construction bay in the Bay Area, which is really neat. Okay, so our last major is the engineering science major, and you can choose between all of these different divisions of engineering science, and the focus is on green technology, energy systems, sciences, math, biology, and physics. And it's a little bit different than your typical engineering program. Yeah, and it's just kind of a cool mix of like practical hands-on knowledge and more theoretical potentially. So yeah, definitely an interesting choice.
Yes, for sure. And also on the bottom, I'm kind of missing it right now. It's my favorite library. It's the engineering library that I always used to go to. And it's one of the only ones that allows you to talk and do and like eat as well. It's a group work based library because of how much group work we do in a lot of our classes. Okay, so now moving on to the fan favorite, EECS, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. This is a major that involves a lot of technological problem solving. And what I kind of mean by that is it's applying concepts of electrical engineering and concepts of computer science and combining it to create technology, and specifically very intentional technology that will further the industry. They have a lot of amazing partners in the Bay Area since we're so close to it. I've had multiple friends get internships at top companies, Amazon, Google, LinkedIn, you name it. And actually, I think we're the university that sends the most number of interns to Google. I think that's correct. But yeah, so we definitely have a great reputation and connections with such amazing companies, which a lot of students kind of want to end up after graduating. I've taken my fair share of electrical engineering and computer science classes through BioE, and that's what I love about the engineering college is a lot of your classes will overlap with different majors. So I'm taking a few classes with my EECS friends, a few classes with my mechanical engineering friends, and I think that also helps build community and also have a change of community. So another really popular question we get is, what is the difference between EECS and computer science? So first off, EECS is in the College of Engineering, which we mentioned is a direct admission program. So when I applied to Berkeley, I applied to the College of Engineering to bioengineering. And similarly, you would do that for EECS. Whereas the computer science degree is part of the College of Letters and Sciences, which is an undeclared admission, which means that you have up until the end of your second year to declare a major, and it is also an impacted major, which means that you need a 3.3 GPA, which I believe is a B plus average in your 3 core classes, which are CS 61A, CS 61B, and CS 70. So that's kind of the difference in terms of admissions. On top of that, EECS is a mix of hardware and software, and later on you can kind of pick a track if you want to take more EE based classes or CS based classes, whereas CS is primarily software focused, and there's a bit more flexibility, as I have a lot of friends who are doing double majors with CS. There's room to kind of do, I have friends doing computer science and molecular cell and biology, kind of like what Kate is doing. I also have friends doing computer science and business through our Haas School of Business or economics. So there's a bit more flexibility if you're interested in 2 different disciplines. On top of that, the College of Letters and Sciences has an emphasis on a liberal arts curriculum. So that degree is a Bachelor's of Arts degree, whereas all the degrees through the College of Engineering are a Bachelor of Science degree. And that's mostly because of the more technical classes you take in EECS, and in CS you take a lot more breadth classes, which are classes from different disciplines to kind of get a more holistic learning experience. So this is kind of a very nitpicky topic. So if you have any more questions about it, feel free to ask in the chat. Those are the primary differences between the 2.
So I want to emphasize that in the grand scheme of things, the difference between a BA degree and a BS degree is nothing. In terms of an employer looking at a BA versus a BS, it doesn't matter. I promise you, I'm recruiting for gap year jobs right now. I have a BA in molecular and cell biology, which I feel is a pretty scientific program, but I promise it makes not a bit of difference. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. Like, that should not be a point. Like, that should not sway anyone's decision making. So, joint majors. Joint majors are described as a hybrid of 2 major areas of engineering for a single degree. So these might include bioengineering and material science hybrids. There's also an EECS and material science hybrid, an EECS and nuclear engineering hybrid. There are a couple others with material science, and a couple others with nuclear and mechanical. So you can definitely check out the website for more information on that. And it's kind of a cool dual program that you get to customize a little bit, which is pretty cool. Minors. So the College of Engineering does offer a number of minors. I know from my own perspective, I saw a question in the chat pop up about what are the most popular ones. And I can only speak, I don't know specifically off the top of my head, but from my own personal experience, I think the Bio-E minor is very popular. And it's because not only do other engineers minor in Bio-E, but people from other colleges. For example, a lot of my friends who are molecular cell biology majors can also minor in Bio-E, which is a really neat little crossover. So a number of biology programs from different colleges, including Letters and Science and the Rausser College of Natural Resources, that might make a lot of sense to do Bio-E. So we also offer a couple certificates, you can see them there. And finally, our MET program, which is Management, Entrepreneurship, and Technology. This is a program that offers the study of engineering and business in a single curriculum. So you'll graduate in 4 years with 2 Bachelor's of Science degrees. So you would apply to the MET program specifically with your freshman application. And I'm pretty sure, Isha can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very, very competitive. The cohort is about 15 to 20 students every year. So if you are not accepted into MET, I am pretty sure that your application then goes into the greater College of Engineering application pool. And yeah, I think that's true. So
Yeah.
There's no reason not to, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with MET, it's a super competitive program. Unfortunately, their Bio-E program started the year after I came to Berkeley. Otherwise, I would have totally applied. But now they have a lot of variety and are kind of expanding the program. So if you aren't accepted, you're still considered for admission to the College of Engineering without kind of any other, without that not acceptance impacting your application. It's just like looked kind of freshly. So yeah, that's also a really great opportunity. And I have a lot of my close friends are in this program, and they love it. All right, going into College of Chemistry, the main reason why we touch upon this college in our engineering tours is because as Kate mentioned, the chemical engineering major is within this college. The primary reasoning for that is because their chemistry classes align a lot closer with the chemistry major than they might with the chemistry classes that engineers take. Um, However, as an engineer, I've taken three or four three classes in the College of Chemistry. So we also have a very intertwined kind of coursework, and chemical engineering majors take classes from the College of Engineering too. So it's pretty intertwined. It's just in this college because of kind of the technical path of the chemistry classes they take. This is the #1 ranked College of Chemistry globally, and we're very, very proud of that and excited to have that at our university. It is also direct admission as the College of Engineering. And a fun fact is that 16 elements were actually discovered at Berkeley, and we have one named after us, which is berkelium. And I think we were kind of discussing this the other day, some of the campus ambassadors, and I think that's almost 10% of the periodic table, which is kind of cool to think about. And yeah, the College of Chemistry is definitely very interactive. You have lab sections. Their GSIs are so smart and talented and always willing to help. So that's probably my favorite part about taking classes in this college.
The College of Engineering, sorry, the College of Chemistry is so cool. There's so many Nobel Prizes. The elements is a neat thing. Seaborg is a perfect anagram for Go Bears. We had a professor who won the Nobel Prize for being the first to get within a fraction of a degree of absolute zero, which is negative 273.15 degrees Celsius or 0 degrees Kelvin. Professor Lewis, when he was a professor in the College of Chemistry, he came up with the definition of a Lewis acid. He came up with Lewis dot structures. So you have him to thank or blame for that, depending on your chemistry experience. So cool. So many cool things. Okay, so our academics. Most classes that are lecture classes will have a lecture part of the class, and this is taught by a professor, an adult human, and there will be a discussion section component to almost all of these classes, and this is called section, and it will be run by a GSI or graduate student instructor. These are usually much smaller than they break up your lecture classes into no more than 25 people max in your discussion section. And they are a great place to go and do practice problems and ask questions and take quizzes, which you shouldn't miss, and you should go generally. There are also lab components to some classes. For example, I am in upper division biochemistry lab class, which has a lecture portion, but instead of a discussion section, we have like a hands-on practical lab where we go and we pipette. And those are also taught by GSIs. Pro tip, most of lab classes fill up a lot faster than your typical lecture discussion style class, usually because they are required for your major and they're required for everyone in that major. And so they fill up. So when you are enrolling in classes, I would advise that you enroll in your lab classes first and prioritize those. Class size is really dependent on your major. It's really dependent on the class. We range anywhere. This is a number that scares people, but it's very fine. We set a record like 2 years ago for CS 61B having more than 2,000 students in it. But it is quite frankly one of the best run classes on campus. It is beautiful. Mwah. It is chef's kiss, so organized, a delight to be in that class. It is a machine of CS learning. They just churn out fabulous CS humans that then come back and help teach the class as undergraduates. And it's so cool. And it's the bigger the class, the better run it is. Data 8, also fabulous. It's just that these are the truths of the matter. iClicker, that's a thing. It's a little clicker that you take to class and answer questions. Resources, we have the Student Learning Center. This is a great place where your peers sit around on desks and they're just like you, except they've taken the classes that you're currently in and they did very well in them, and now they're here to help. So you come in with your math homework and you're like, please help, and they're like, we got this. And that's the Student Learning Center, and it's free also. Engineering Student Services, great resource for all your school and life questions, and you will have a 4-year academic advisor, another resource for you.
Yeah, just to quickly add on, I think the great thing about College of Engineering in advisors is, so I have one advisor in the engineering student services who helps me with like my enrollment stuff if I have any issues. Then I have another advisor in the Department of Bioengineering who has been an incredible resource for me and helped me out with everything. I was like panicking. I was like, how am I going to finish a major and 2 minors and kind of be on the pre-med track in 4 years? And she like helped me out, planned out my whole schedule with me for the upcoming 2 years. And then lastly, I also have a faculty advisor who is a professor, a PhD in the department. And I went to him when I needed advice on kind of where I wanted to take my career path after graduation, when I had internship interviews, things like that. And they're so helpful, and it's very easy to book appointments with them as well because of the smaller size of the College of Engineering. So that's an incredible resource that you should definitely take advantage of, regardless of what institution you're at. Okay, going into student diversity, this is something that I'm really passionate about, because women in STEM has kind of been a challenge globally, but I think Berkeley has done a good job of making us feel welcome and included at our campus, especially with our celebration last year of 150 years of women in Berkeley. And we were founded 152 years ago. So that was a very um, we're very early kind of to admit women, which we're very proud of. We have a variety of different organizations that students can get involved in that kind of help them match and find people with similar identities as them. So first off, we have the Women in Science and Engineering theme program. So this is actually in the residence halls. There are certain dorms that have theme programs. So there's one for African American students, one for Latinx students, another one for Pacific Islander students in the LGBTQ community. So a lot of great resources. And there's one for women in science and engineering, so they can be friends with like-minded individuals who may have similar experiences as them. Then we have the Black Engineering and Science Student Association, the Hispanic Engineers and Scientists, and then also some other programs that really help students who may be the first in their family to come to college, and kind of navigating that experience, or if they went to a high school that wasn't as academically rigorous as some of the other kids coming from like private schools and stuff. So there's a lot of great resources for that. And I'm very actively involved in this through the Society of Women Engineers. And also I work as sexual violence and sexual harassment prevention director in engineering at our student government. So that's been a really amazing experience to kind of be actively at the front line and like pass bills and stuff to actually make tangible change in our community.
Alrighty, so there's some extracurricular activities that you can do as engineers that are pretty neat. Just a couple of the ones that are pictured here. We've got the civil engineering concrete canoe team, which looks like a bucket of fun, or a canoe of fun. Maybe more accurate. That was terrible. I'll move on. We've got our aerospace SAE. That could be wings that they're holding. Hard to say. I'm not sure what they do. Then we've got Calsol. That looks like that's a solar powered car. That looks like that's neat. And the Cal Steel Bridge team. And I assume that's building a steel bridge. I hope. Maybe Isha can add to these. Really neat opportunities, all it seems.
Yeah, they're all super cool. I think a lot of kids do stuff outside of just engineering too, and there's non-engineering kids in these clubs too. And that's kind of what I love about Berkeley and how many different people I get to meet. All right, next, going on to labs and makerspaces. This is what really drew me to Berkeley, because I had never quite seen anything like it before. My first visit to Berkeley, I was just walking, taking a tour on campus, and I saw a little robot delivering food. And I was like, this is the place where I want to be. This is so cool. And it's such a technologically advanced place. So we have things like labs and makerspaces on our campus. Makerspaces are areas such as the Jacobs Hall and Institute for Design Innovation, and also Satarja Dye Hall, where you get to kind of go in, get access to 3D printing facilities, get access to a lot of cool softwares. And one of my friends actually even took a class in one of these topics, and your class is at the Jacobs Institute. So that's what my minor is. I'm minoring in or doing a certificate in design innovation. So I get to take 4 classes and kind of get an access pass to the Institute of Design Innovation, and take a lot of hands-on classes on prototyping, fabrication, 3D printing, which is so rare and amazing to have at an institution. Also, the Hesse Hall, that's for mechanical engineering students when they're working on a lot of like practical projects, and similar with Davis Hall for the civil engineering students. Lastly, the Richmond Field Station is a bit kind of further away from Berkeley, but it's used as a testing site, I believe, a lot for some of the energy engineering type of projects. And also Kate can maybe add on about the National Lawrence Laboratory that she's at, because that's also a great resource for Berkeley students.
Indeed, indeed. Should we do next slide? There we go. Okay, cool, great. So undergraduate research apprenticeship program, or URAP, is how a lot of our students get a lot of research experience, including myself. So I have a long history with URAP. I started research my freshman year. I entered into a lab that only required that I be enthusiastic and not squeamish about bugs. So check and check. I wrangled some spiders, tried to do some behavioral experiments, but then that kind of turned into like a GCMS project, which is gas chromatography mass spec, which is a sought after skill. And I was able to get a grant to do a similar project in Germany, and I wouldn't have been able to study abroad. So that was really cool. And then I realized for my honors thesis, I didn't really want to keep doing spiders. So I used URAP again, and I got into a really cool lab. And that's where I'm finishing up my research. So that's been really cool. And I've had a great experience with URAP. Lawrence is another thing that I feel hits me personally too, just because I work there. It's a super cool resource. The Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory is run by the DOE, or Federal Department of Energy. And so they have a lot of projects that sort of feed into that. One of them being the study of microbes in soil. And that is a lab, I work in a lab that looks at that specifically, which is really neat because that is how we found a lot of our antibiotics that we have currently. And it's just really, really important to know about soil health, and we kind of don't know that much right now. So yeah, all neat stuff. Sudarcha Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology is another great resource, and Beehive as well. So
That's so funny. I have been working at Europe through Europe since my freshman year too. So it's an incredible program. And similarly, I just had to know how to be like interpersonal and like work with people. I worked in like a psychology and cognitive science lab. So that's another really cool thing. You can do research in whatever department you want. It doesn't have to be just bioengineering. And like I've actually never done research within bioengineering, and it's always been applying BioE to other things, which has been I think it's a lot cooler that way. And over here, so we want to I think this is UK.
it is indeed, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so congratulations to our Nobel Prize winners. This is so exciting. So Jennifer Doudna is a professor within the molecular and cell biology department at Berkeley. She teaches a lower division class sometimes, Bio 1A, which every bioengineering has to take. I think, yeah, Bio 1A, maybe. maybe you can AP out. Probably you could. Anyway, but she teaches this lower division class, and that's pretty cool. So she just won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for her work discovering CRISPR, which is actually an innate bacterial immune defense, and she reworked it to be a DNA or genetic manipulation tool, which is really cool and the most precise that we have yet, which is really neat. And then Reinhard Genzel won our 2020 Nobel Prize for Physics, and I don't know what it was for.
I think it has something to do with a black hole, but I tried to understand it. It was super complicated.
Isn't that just the way with Nobel Prize winners?
But we're so happy to have this. And typically, the campus ambassadors, we help out with Nobel Prize week in person, which last year I remember we thought. Professor Doudna was going to win, and I mean she won this year, but last year I remember we were excited, like, oh, it might be her year. But we're super happy about this. All right, and that kind of ties along to our legacy and notable figures and alumni. The one that I really want to emphasize is Dean Liu. She's the first female dean of the College of Engineering, and she's an instructor, researcher, and administrator. And the great thing about the College of Engineering is weekly or bi-weekly they have top professors, alumni come in and give, especially in bio-e, they have them come and give like talks and have us kind of interact with them one-on-one, which is a very rare opportunity to have at such a big university. And so that's been really amazing. I've gotten to speak with people who have been professors and done research at top institutions, and also helped create some incredible technology. On top of that, we have Rube Goldberg, who is an engineer, cartoonist, and complex machine inventor, pretty famous name that you may have heard of. On top of that, we have Shafi Goldwasser, who has won the Turing Prize, which is kind of like the Nobel Prize in CS. It's super prestigious. And then finally, we have Steve Wozniak, who's the co-founder of Apple. And that's also been really amazing to be from a university that has such incredible alumni. A fun story, a Berkeley alumni was actually my interviewer for my final round at Medtronic. And it made a really big difference because he understood the coursework that I did, the clubs that I was in, a lot better than somebody from another institution. So those connections will go a very long way. And I think that's what I love about Berkeley. All right.
Thank you, Isha and Kate, so much for that wonderful presentation. I loved all the perspectives you brought in, all the stories you brought in. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. And thank you to our attendees for submitting questions throughout the entire tour. And now we'll be jumping into our live Q&A session. Now we can answer some of the questions you have. Starting with our first question, someone asked, when and how can you apply for a double major? Is it at the time of application when you're coming as a freshman, or is it after maybe 1 or 2 years? And how does that process work for minors? So we'll hear Isha to talk about that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. So I will start with double majors first. I will say it depends on what the double major is. So for instance, there is a dual degree in bioengineering and material science engineering, which you apply to directly when you're a freshman. So that's a bit of a unique program. There's a few joint majors that Kate touched upon that have that you come in as a double major, but majority of them are not like this. Majority of them is something that the earlier you apply to, the easier your life will be. So I had kind of a phase where I was debating doing a double major in bioengineering and EECS, electrical engineering, computer science. And I have a good amount of friends who do it, and there's a lot of classes that overlap. So it is possible to do it in 4 years. And I started researching about that in like midway through my first semester. So pretty early. And typically you want to get that process going with your academic advisor, at least in your first year, and have it completely solidified by the time you start your second year. There are some basic requirements for it, like you need to have taken an X amount of classes from the major in order to declare, have a certain GPA, things like that. But your advisor is there to help you through all of that. So that's how those work. There's a few that you apply to directly, but majority of them try to get on that as early as you can. In terms of minors, you can do a minor literally whenever, as long as you can fit the classes into your schedule. A minor is typically 5 to 6 classes, I believe. And so within the College of Engineering, you do have to take 6 humanities or social sciences classes, and a minor is like 5 classes. So I thought I might just get a minor out of this. So I'm doing a minor in public policy through the Goldman School of Public Policy, which is a graduate school. And I figured all that out like sophomore year, so that every semester I just took one class up until my senior year. So you can really do it kind of whenever you want, but minors are typically an application process. It's like a form you submit, more administrative, when you're already on campus. Same with engineering minors, you just submit like a form and have to have taken like 1 or 2 classes already. So I hope that gives you a bit of clarity about that.
Thank you so much, Isha. Yeah, I would say definitely Isha mentioned the advisor is a great resource we have here for Berkeley students. That's, you can access them at any time. They're super helpful. And Kate is also double major with a minor. So I can just bring Kate in very quickly just to say, like, how was your double major experience like?
Nah, see, not actually double majoring, but I am minoring, which I seriously considered double majoring until I realized how easy the minor was. It's just such a nice process. The thing is you get the minor on your transcript, it doesn't appear on your diploma. So that's like if you double major, then they both appear on your diploma. And I feel like that's the biggest difference. But if you just want to pick up these applicable skills like I did, I thought like this data science minor would be great because it would give me these technical skills that a lot of molecular cell biologists look for, but not necessarily have. So I would just have this kind of leg up, and it has proved useful. So that's been great. I've gotten a lot of opportunities just because of that background and that knowledge. So minors are fabulous for that reason. Again, yeah, it's just forms. You have to get C's or something in order to like be able to declare your minor in those classes. Like it's not that big a deal, and would recommend.
Thank you, Kate. I feel like all the Berkeley students I meet here are just so like naturally curious. They just want to learn more about things. So whether it's like a minor or double major, they just love picking up all these stuff. And next question I actually have also for Kate is what are some popular engineering extracurricular activities, and how can we get a good balance of academic and social life at Berkeley?
So I don't know that popular really applies, just because there's such a broad range and it really just depends on your own interests. And I don't think it really matters what's popular. There's just so many opportunities out there. Just take advantage of the ones that you care about. That being said, balancing the academic and social thing can be difficult. So maybe combine the two as often as you can. That's hard in COVID situations, but studying with friends used to be like my go-to way of feeling like I wasn't a hermit, which was great. What I like to do personally is I like to work really, really hard the whole week, and then try not to have very much at all to do over the weekend, and then just dedicate my weekend for fun. And that's worked really, really well. And actually, since I made that kind of rule, I got better grades, which was great. And I think it's just because you don't give yourself the option of putting it off till the weekend, because that's your dedicated time for friends and fun. So that works really well.
Yeah, I love that. I think time management is definitely a very important skill that I have learned in college. And once you kind of got that skill down, which is very useful in future career as well, like everything becomes much easier and it's nicer to balance everything. Thank you, Kate. And next we have a question for Isha. So how does Berkeley help you to find jobs after you graduate? Are there any resources for internship or on-campus work?
Yeah, for sure. I can speak more to the internship on campus work, and if Kate maybe wants to add on about the job after you graduate part. Um, but I will say that, so my favorite platform to kind of find internships is through Berkeley. It's a platform called Handshake. It's like our very own mini LinkedIn, but it's connections with alumni and companies that specifically want to hire UC Berkeley students. So that's how I found out about kind of all the internships that I applied to in this cycle for the upcoming summer. And regardless of us being online, Berkeley still hosted virtual career fairs all through from like September to November, I want to say. And you could get one-on-one conversations. They were like 15, 20 minutes long with people from top companies. Like for a lot of my EECS friends, it was companies like Uber, Apple, Google, Facebook, like they were all recruiting coming to Berkeley students. And for me, it was companies like Genentech, Medtronic, even like a lot of chemical engineering companies too. So it was really, really amazing that we got to have that one-on-one kind of meeting with them, to kind of have them remember us and not just be like an application number. I think it makes a really big difference. And for Berkeley to set that up, and regardless of it being online and it being a very different atmosphere, was very great. And I found a lot more comfortable to kind of speak to someone virtually rather than walk to Sproul where there's like 1,000 kids going to the career fair. So that's where I found most of my internships, volunteer positions, all that. The second thing is that my department, and I believe all engineering departments and probably even LNS departments, they send out a bi-weekly list of all companies or labs or fellowships or whatever that are recruiting, hiring, admitting applicants and whatnot. And it ranges from like study abroad programs to research programs to like full-time jobs. So that is also a really great way. And I make sure I have my notifications on for those emails, so I kind of stay on top of it. And I think that has also been very, very helpful in navigating that at Berkeley. And most of the companies that hire Berkeley students, they want to give us a return offer. They want us to come back. And that was like a really big factor for me when I was kind of picking where I wanted to work. And so fingers crossed that will work out after this summer. We'll see what happens. And if Kate wants to add on a little bit about kind of after you graduate, because I still have to figure that one out.
Yeah, of course. So I think, yeah, getting an internship early and making those connections is really great, especially if you decide that that's a great company that you want to work for later. That's a great place to start. Another thing, I want to just second the thing about the newsletters. I really, really like the newsletters. I think it's great. Like you can use Handshake to find a full-time job after college. LinkedIn is obvious, but yeah, the newsletters thing is great. I have never unsubscribed to like a Berkeley department newsletter. I am signed up to ones that I am only tangentially related to. And it's still fun because you get all these like opportunities, and they're nice because like someone had to reach out to get this on a newsletter and they were specifically targeting Berkeley again. So yeah, those career fairs exist. I think the biggest help that Berkeley has been, I actually think I don't like, all of that is great, but I don't know that I use them that much in my job search. I kind of do it independently, but I also think that Berkeley has given me a lot of the tools to do that and really be confident in applying to things independently, because I feel like I have a really strong background, and it's kind of nice. Like there's a really, like, yes, there are a ton of resources provided for you, especially if you ask. But the school itself is just not that big on hand holding. And that's been kind of nice. Like I feel like I can transition into the real world without a huge like shock at all. So that's, I don't know. I feel pretty good about the whole job search thing.
Thank you, Isha and Kate. You guys just covered that question so well. There's nothing I can even add on to that. Loved all of your answers. Thank you so much. And because our hour is coming to an end, I do want to ask a very important, our last question. The question is, why did you choose Berkeley and what's your Berkeley story? So I would like to start with Isha and then we can go to Kate.
Absolutely. So my Berkeley story starts long before I was even applying. I have lived in over 3 different countries and moved over 13 schools in my life. So I've moved around a lot. And I always kind of was looking, it was very hard for me to find a place where I could have that academic rigor I wanted, but also the mindset of the people that knew how to balance that kind of lifestyle of work and also having fun. And so that's something that I was always looking for when I was applying to university. I was like, okay, this is where I will be for 4 years, and it has to be a place where I can find that balance that I'm looking for. And so I applied to Berkeley because I had an alumni from my high school who loved it, was huge into school spirit. So he'd always be posting about the school. And I thought, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's apply. And after I was accepted, I came to visit. Unfortunately, I couldn't visit on Cal Day, which is like our huge celebration for admitted students. But I came on a regular Tuesday. I took a tour of Berkeley, and it was amazing because I got to see Berkeley students in its very natural form of them just having those daily interactions. And immediately I could tell that everybody who is here really wants to be here. And that makes such a big difference. I often felt like in my classes in high school, I was way more passionate about something than a lot of other people, or it didn't feel like everybody else around me was as motivated or engaged as I was. And so that's what I felt as soon as I came to Berkeley. I was like, everyone who is here is amazing, talented, and not only can you motivate others, but others can motivate you. And you're just like constantly surrounded by excellence. I feel like that's the best way to put it. So that's what drew me to Berkeley. I mean, we're the #1 public university and top 3 in engineering. So that was definitely also really important. But those were kind of the main factor of how I felt when I came on campus. So that's my kind of Berkeley story. I hope to still be connected with the university even after I graduate. And it's definitely a place where I see myself like giving back to.
Yeah, that's a good one. I had no idea what I wanted to do in college. Um, I'm a California resident, so I only applied to UCs, so that kind of narrowed the field. Um, and I remember having a mental breakdown kind of about like what program to apply to for each of these schools. And I remember just like crying at the kitchen table. And my mom was like, what are you doing? Just apply undeclared if you don't know. Like, isn't that kind of a no-brainer? So I did. I ended up applying to all the UCs undeclared except for UC Davis, which is where I'm from. And I applied as a viticulture and enology major, which is winemaking. And I did it as a joke. So that's where I was senior year. It was kind of a mess. And I started getting my acceptances back, and I knew I really wanted to go somewhere that wasn't super specialized, that was really good at everything, because I was clueless at the time. And I'm really, really glad that I chose this school. I remember, this is so nerdy. I visited campus because my senior year I was in my high school's Baroque ensemble, which is like an orchestra, but it's older because there's fewer of us, and we play on period instruments and like gut string, and we tune to a different, anyway, we don't tune to 440A, like, so we had a concert in Berkeley, and I just remember like it wasn't even a real tour. It was just my mom and I like walking through campus after my concert and going to dinner, and I was like, this is so nice. And it wasn't anything specific. It was just like a feeling. And I was like, yeah, this is where I should go. And I'm grateful every day that I did. I think I've gotten opportunities here that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. And, graduating soon, and just very grateful for the past 4 years, even though the last 2 were weird.
Thank you both so much, Isha and Kay, for sharing that. Agree with a lot of things that you say. Berkeley's such a passionate, just a community, and it's a really nice place to be, whether you're, finding friends here, studying here, finding your future here. With that, we are going to the end of our virtual visit today. And before we go, I just want to share a couple of resources for you all to stay in touch with us. So you can follow us on Instagram at Visit UC Berkeley. If you have any more questions that we did not get to today, please email them to tour@berkeley.edu, and a student campus ambassador will answer your question. You can ask about general questions, engineering questions, anything, we can answer that. If you want to read blogs written by ambassadors, please visit Bear Talk blog at beartalk.berkeley.edu. Like I was talking about in the beginning, different versions of this recorded virtual visit are available on our YouTube channel if you just look up Visit UC Berkeley. You can read about UC Berkeley COVID-19 resources at coronavirus.berkeley.edu. I also recommend checking out 100W at .berkeley.edu to see all the amazing things our women have contributed to our campus in the last 150 years. The engineering website is engineering.berkeley.edu if you want to learn more about the department in general. Lastly, if you're interested in our ambassador student panel or our general virtual visit or our visit in other languages, please sign up at visit.berkeley.edu. And thank you once again for spending an hour of your day with us today here at Berkeley Virtual Visit. We finish everything here at Berkeley with a Go Bears. And I'm going to invite Kate and to unmute and do the cheer with me on 3. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
Go
Go Bears!
Bears!
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.